Well, it is primary day, and the voting deadline just passed a few moments ago. Within the hour, we expect to find out which candidates will move forward to the November general election. So good evening, and thanks for joining us today. I'm David Rose.
I'm Aliana Gomez. There are 320 local races on ballots across the state, as well as measures for funding everything from fire districts to parks, hospitals, and schools. And we have team coverage tonight, starting with Q13 political correspondent Brandi Kruse. And Brandi, King County expected to drop its first results any moment now. What are you watching for?
Yeah, we expect those results, at least the first batch of ballots to be counted, to come in before 8:15, according to county elections officials. And I will say, and I've said this, especially for the city of Seattle, I really believe that this is ultimately going to be a make or break election. We have crises that have only been deepening in Seattle, like homelessness, crime, mental health issues, of course, a city trying to bounce back economically from the pandemic. And these are the leaders who are hopefully going to set us on the right path, or could have quite the impact on the region. So in the race for Seattle mayor, as we await the first ballot drop, you have Bruce Harrell, a former Seattle City Council president, Lorena Gonzalez, the current Seattle City Council president, both of them expected to be front runners. There's 15 people total on the ballot, but another one who's done well in polling is Colleen Echohawk, has not held political office before, but is the former executive director of Chief Seattle Club and has run in political circles and gained a lot of momentum in this race. We also know that there are two at-large city council seats in Seattle. At-large basically means the whole city votes on them, not just one district. The exciting one is position 9 because it's an open seat, because the woman who holds it now, Lorena Gonzalez, is running for mayor. Her former chief of staff, Brianna Thomas, running in that race. Also Nikita Oliver, police abolitionist and community activist, and Sarah Nelson, the co-owner of Fremont Brewing. You know, our crew caught up in the field just a little while ago with Nikita Oliver and Sarah Nelson as they tried to make their final push.
Our city is facing unprecedented crises, and we need radical responses that address the root causes. I've been working in community for a long time, doing grassroots work right on the front lines of many of the crises we're facing, and motivated by community to step in this position to be a microphone for those that are most impacted in our city.
I ran for city council because I saw Seattle going in the wrong direction, and I knew that I could bring the pragmatic and experienced leadership that's needed right now as we emerge from a pandemic and then dealing with long-term and long-standing problems as well.
Yeah, so that's a race we're going to have our eye on. Also outside the city limits, the race for King County Executive has become a very interesting progressive showdown. You have three-term incumbent Dow Constantine, who wants his 4th term, and he was challenged this time around by a fellow progressive, something considered a little taboo in political circles. But Joe Wynn, a first-term state senator, said, hey, I feel like I'm ready to lead. I feel like Dow Constantine has had his time, so I want to challenge him. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Joe Wynn does. And if he does well, if that encourages other people to challenge individuals of their own political persuasion down the road. So a lot of big races we're watching. As we said, we're expecting the first drop of ballots any minute. And of course, we will be breaking in as we get results in some of these key races.
All right, Brandi, thank you so much for kind of breaking all of that down for us. Again, 10 minutes or less is when we're going to see those votes come in. So, Brandi, thank you so much. And we'll definitely check back in with Brandi Kruse shortly here as those votes come in. Now, one pivotal race in Seattle is the position of city attorney. The incumbent, Pete Holmes, is facing 2 challengers this time around. Q13's Hannah Kim spoke with all 3 candidates, and Hannah learned that they all have a very different viewpoints.
Absolutely. They have very different opinions on how cases should be prosecuted. And the reason why this is so important is because Seattle has had a share of crime and repeat offenders, and it often intersects with drug addiction and mental illness. And before I get into the specifics of the 3 candidates, a reminder that the city attorney's office only handles misdemeanor cases on the criminal side. Incumbent Pete Holmes has been Seattle city attorney for 12 years and is asking for 4 more years. His challengers are attorneys Ann Davison and Nicole Thomas Kennedy. For our interview, Ann Davison asked us to meet her at a homeless encampment in South Seattle. Davison says Seattle is in a downward spiral when it comes to repeat offenders. Many of them, she says, are hooked on drugs and are not getting the proper treatment. Then you've got Nicole Thomas Kennedy. Once a public defender, Thomas Kennedy wants to dismantle the current criminal justice system by prosecuting as a last resort. Instead, she wants the city to partner with more community organizations to handle crimes like assault, theft, and vandalism. She also supports gradually defunding Seattle police by more than 50%.
I would be using prosecution as an absolute last resort. So abolition does not mean that there's no accountability. Abolition recognizes that the system we have right now is not working and works to build new systems of accountability.
When people are entrenched in antisocial behavior, sometimes the only thing they will be responsive to is that hard line. And if someone is in custody, we need medicalized treatment for them there. And then we need to have a place where they go on the exit. That is the key part.
So you're saying that there needs to be tougher prosecution in some cases?
There needs to be smarter prosecution, absolutely. Because what we have sometimes is over-litigating or over-prosecuting maybe people of color, but we have under-prosecuting where there's people that are coming back and showing that they are resistant to alternatives.
Neither of these candidates have really any appreciable, not just for a city attorney, but legal experience. And this office is too critical to the city's continued ability to thrive, to really take that kind of a risk.
One thing Pete Holmes emphasized in his interview is the fact that the city attorney handles much more than just criminal cases. A large part of the role is, of course, to provide counsel to city leaders on the legalities of the policies they're trying to impose. The city attorney also has to fend off lawsuits, something Seattle is facing right now, stemming from the debacle over CHOP in Capitol Hill. Now, Holmes says he is still the most qualified to handle challenges on the criminal and civil side of things. So certainly a race with a lot at stake. In the newsroom, Hannah Kim, Q13 News.
And the voter turnout numbers will play a big role in this as well. Statewide, about 22% of voters participated in the primary election. In King County, that number ticked up to 23%. Snohomish County at just about 21%. In Pierce County, only about 15% of voters cast ballots. We'll see if those numbers shift at all tonight.